So, welcome to Witch Hour, where the brew is hot and the talk is real.
Ooh, and magic, mystery, and everyday life blend into one.
Witch Hour is a sacred space where the voices of comedic priestesses rise to awaken remembrance, restore divine balance, and reweave the threads of ancient feminine wisdom. We turn light into shadows, truth into silence, and healing into disconnection. Guided by the sacred teaching of our ancestors, we channel the power of mysticism, ritual, and spiritual truth to spark transformation within ourselves, our community, and the world.
Yes, too. The circle where Black women priestesses come together to speak truth, spirit, and power. We are your guides in this sacred journey of reclamation. And together we hold the voices behind the mystical journey. This is an hour of wit, wisdom, and a little witchcraft or brouhaha. So come curious, leave enchanted.
Moot Nekbet Neferner Tati Ra.
Mutataru Bhaktiba.
And I am Harit Tayamwachsi. And together we are Witch Hour.
Two.
So every brew starts with an intention. So here's today's intention. My pleasure is prayer. Two.
So thank you, listeners, for supporting Witch Hour. And remember to go and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all social media platforms, including podcast platforms, all streaming platforms. So let's get in this today, right? Today we begin exploring a series of feminine archetypes. Her power, her pain, and her healing. Okay. This episode today we are calling Sensuality as Liberation. And we decided collectively that is when women like us, you and me, reclaim our sensuality. We reclaim autonomy of our own energy, of our own pleasure, of our own rhythm, and our own divinity.
Two.
So y'all know, in true Witch Hour fashion, let's get our cups and start filling it up.
So, yes. Divine sensuality. Wow. It is very, 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 very sacred. I know that back in the past that they would try to label it as being taboo for us to be sensual. Many traditions have painted that sensual power is very, very, very dangerous to society. Women and owning our sensuality, owning ourselves, embodying every single element of ourselves, inside of ourselves, but outside of ourselves as well. But the truth is that sensuality is sacred. It's beyond the physical intimacy. It is the breath. It is all senses. It is the breath. It is the touch. It is the sound. It is our own women. It's woman's intuition inside. It is the movement, the relationship with our bodies, the relationship with nature. It is a sacred, sensual devotion to yourself as well as the world around you. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's more of like being connected to every element, like I was saying, being connected to the breath, the sacred breath, being connected to that, being very intentional about every single move that you make, being intentional with your life, period. If you want to just say, for instance, putting on oils, your sacred oils, those your sacred oils, your ritual, that is part of being sensual, placing the oils around on you, letting it seep deep within your skin, shea butter. Those are just like pure examples of sensuality, and embodying that and just giving thanks and praise for every single element and giving thanks and praise for yourself and like really embodying your true divinity, your true femininity. Yeah, it's huge.
Muhadaru, I hear you. And I hear you about Shape it up, baby. Right. That's what really like when you said that I just envisioned, I was like, oh, that does make me feel sensual. Let me ask a question. Like when you do those things and understanding that is such a different aspect of like sexual, right? Sensuality is so
Mhm.
different. And when you're saying like it allows you to connect to yourself, right? It allows me to connect to me, with or without someone, right?
Mm.
It's a sacred act or right with me. When did you first realize that that sensuality and how it connected to like sacredness and holiness? Like
So,
realize that.
I could say for me, honestly, I was kind of like a late bloomer.
Okay, let's talk about
Because
it. Let's
yes,
talk
because
about it.
the world made it such a taboo for us to be sensual. So I was a late bloomer. It was even after I got initiated and just being around other women and them being fully embodied in their individuality and their sensuality that made me take a step back and be like, oh, well, I'm pretty too. And they'll be like, oh, you're so beautiful. And it made me just really like embrace myself even more. Being around, my sisters, um, the way that we adorn ourselves, you know what I'm saying? We treated ourselves like an altar. So
Mhm.
yeah, so I was a late bloomer. I can say that, but when I finally like tapped into it, um, it brings out a glow within you, and you look at people that is fully embody that and fully hone it. And after I got initiated and just being around, women of like-minded women, that's when I fully, not fully, but still learning in a way to adore myself to be the altar. As we would always talk about, and I know I'm going, but like the all white, because I speak to this in like Reiki class as well. And I know we spoke about this as well, having on our all white, right? And when people have on all white, when we have on our all white, we don't want to get it dirty. We don't want to get it stained. You know what I'm saying? So treating yourself like don't touch, not necessarily like don't touch me, but like you don't want to get anything on your white and hold royalty. It's royalty. So when I started, being part of the temple, being around my sisters, I started to go within. And I know we're going to talk later about, the deities and Heteru when I took initiation into priestesshood, that sacred, that divine mate, that phase,
Mhm.
allows you to tap into your deity and allowing your deity to take the lead and show you exactly what it is that she wants to show you and learning how to embody that. So, it's still going as they still show us throughout this lifetime, but it's definitely has been rewarding, a true embodiment to be sensual and learn that it is not a taboo, uh, as they made us believe. Yeah.
So you made a good point, right? Because we know today is about sensuality and liberation.
Mhm.
So to your point, Muhedru, I heard some things that you pulled out. Um, we talked about the body as the altar, ourselves as the altar, and our
Yes.
body, let's just say it, right? In other spiritual communities, like they say your body is your temple, which means that you give that your body reverence.
Mhm.
Think about those of us who have altars in our home, how we nurture our altars, how we tend to our altars,
Mhm.
or how we do not, right? And
True.
how it is reflective of
Mhm.
us, but our life and our situations, things of that nature. But when we truly look at ourselves as the altar and providing ourselves with the type of nourishment, care, tenderness, attention that we
Right.
need, and we provide that to ourselves, how that allows us to be amplified. And Muhedru, you talked about your name is Heteru, and we know Heteru, also known to other cultures as Oshun, is the deity of love. She represents
Mhm.
but we all have that aspect of sensuality, and you talked about, like, kinda, being a late bloomer, so which means that you had to learn those things, so
Mhm.
sensuality as a form of liberation, and I know if I know someone amongst our triad that 'cause we are a mighty 3, okay, that understands liberation. What that means is Munekbet. What can you connect it for us? Can you con
Not
Munekbet,
expecting you to say me
Munekbet is liberation, not a term that you embody,
too.
is it?
Not expecting for you to call me out like that
But no,
because this is funny. I was like, yes, had a room. Whoa, me, okay. Yes. Okay. Let me bring it back, right? First of all, to everything that you said, I don't know, it made me think about, okay, I know like our godmother, her favorite flower is lilies, right?
yeah,
And I had taken some home from our last ceremony, and I may have almost forgotten them, but I walked past them and I was like, "Oh my god, they smell so like," and in my mind, the fragrance of it just like did something to me. It made me stop and like come into my own body like, "Dang, those smell like divine," right? And then just thinking about mood headaroo and you talking about that white and not wanting to the way that you care for it, right? The way that you care when you wear white, you're more mindful, so it's like in the way that you're talking about with your body and your sensual practice. Sensuality is like that mindfulness, um, I guess if you want to even say like that foreplay of like how you treat yourself,
mhm,
before you allow another person to touch you, even when it comes down to your white, like you don't let a lot of people put their hands on you when you're in that white unless you know that they understand the sacredness of itself and they can care for it while it's on your body. So I appreciate that. So the liberation, ask me this question again. I was in it, I was like,
it helped us, connect liberation, and I just think about, and let me say why I said, like, you, Munekbet, as our triad who really, I feel like, embodies liberation, right? You
Yes.
at the forefront of who you are, right? In all
true,
your names. At the forefront of who you are authentically uh your voice, your presence, right?
true,
And Neckbat represents her shin. I think about protection, and I even think about her story that mirrors Ibukole, right?
true,
Oshokole,
true,
and how through sacrifice and devotion and the care of humanity,
mhm,
how that liberation speaks, right? And
true.
you think about liberation in this space of like sensuality and how we're free from shame. Like liberation is releasing shame from yourself.
Yes.
It's
It is.
really reclaiming your spiritual authority.
Yes.
And Nekbat, as the protector of the throne, would reclaim and help people understand what reclaiming a spiritual authority and throne looks like. So,
Mhm.
amongst our triad, I feel like your story
True,
resonates with liberation.
true. Thank you. I was in it early and I was like, yeah, then I was like, "Oh, yeah, me, okay." Um, I appreciate you for breaking down my mother like that because that was
Yes.
beautiful. But yes, so going back to what Moot Hadaru said about how our sensuality in the day, even now, I'm not gonna say in back in the day, now too, our sensuality, our sexuality, it is very taboo. It's almost like it is shunned and or praised, right? But when we think about how our sensuality is connected to liberation. It is literally autonomy over your own body's pleasure, right? So it says like our intention, my pleasure is prayer,
Play
my pleasure
Yes.
is prayer. And if
Mhm.
I know that I'm connected to my pleasure, I'm connected to my freedom from being ashamed of my body, reclaiming my spiritual authority,
Mm.
and like, just the way that fragrance of the lilies made me feel, like, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't, "Oh, that flower smells really pretty." I just was like, "Ooh," like, it gave me a sensation that made me kind of come out of my house, you know, even though I was in my home, but it made me feel something in my body. And so I got a couple references for us as
Mm.
far as liberation and
Wow.
sensuality.
Ground
So,
the
so in the book, and we will be sharing these references later on in our podcast and also in our description. So this is a book that was referred to me by another one of our god sisters, Muheteru Saiba, and it's called "In Pursuit of Revolutionary Love." How apropos! And it's by Joy James. And in the beginning of the book, she talks about Ibukale. She talks about Oshun. And she says in one of the excerpts here that I thought was perfect for this, she said Oshun took flight not because they loved in the abstract and from on high, but because they reciprocated the love they received, not from other deities, but from the mass. Neither pity nor emotional grandeur fueled Oshun's flight. Gratitude did. Oshun returned the love given by the mass that taught Oshun how to love. Oshun was the messenger. The message delivered was pursue revolutionary love, which I thought was like just the because like you said earlier, Harit Time Washi, like Heteru Oshun is like sensuality and love and this unconditional form of love, but you always see it as something that she gives, right? And to hear that it's the reason that she can give it is because it was given to her, right? And she was shown how to give it. And I thought for me, that's like how many people know how to love or how to even open themselves up to receive it or learn from it. And the same thing with sensuality. And then there was another author, Audre Lorde, and I have two insights from her. And she talks about eroticism as well as sensuality and sexuality. So her first quote, she was saying that we tend to think of the erotic as an easy, tantalizing sexual arousal. She says, I speak of the erotic as the deepest life force, a force which moves us toward living in a fundamental way. And she also says the erotic is a resource within each of us that lies in a deeply female and spiritual plane, firmly rooted in the power of our unexpressed or unrecognized feelings. And so when you think about liberation, and shame and sensuality, those three things, they fight with one another, you know, because maybe you might feel sensual, sexual, erotic, and you don't want to shame your family or you don't want people looking at you a certain way or you don't want for, you know, you're afraid of what somebody might think because you're too fast or, you know, you being too grown, you know what I mean? And it's like, as an adult, now I'm not talking about children, as an adult woman, right? At some point, we have to learn what that means as a form of connection to body because sexuality, sensuality, and eroticism for me don't always, like you said earlier to Harit Time Wachi, it doesn't always have to equate to another person. That could just be my personal practice of my devotion and how I connect with me in a way that helps me to feel present, you know, and alive and connected, as you said earlier, connected to nature. Like my body is connected to my environment, very sacral, you know. So,
This just gives me the chills, y'all. Like it does. And you mentioned something, Moo Neckback, and I want to ask you this before like we leave that thought.
too.
And when we think about liberation, and you
Mhm,
talked about like as an adult woman, because we know kids gotta grow up and experience some things like rites of passage to get to a certain space of sensuality and liberation, right? And you think about eroticism, sexual, the deepest sexual life force living in the fundamental way, right?
too.
What did you, and I want to ask both of you too.
Mm,
I'm a I'm a ask both of you and then I'm a ponder for me too. Okay.
too.
What did you have to unlearn to reclaim or understand this?
Oh, child, that is a beautiful question because that's real
Yeah. And it makes
and
for me.
very. Mhm.
It makes you pause like,
Yes, it does make you pause. That is appropriate because I've been unlearning for the past couple of years. I mean, like I feel like I've always been sensual, but I kind of have like ebbed and flowed with it. You know what I mean? Like if I felt that my sensuality was being too like looked at, I would kind of pull it back to make other people feel comfortable. Like maybe I'm showing too much, you know, cleavage, or maybe I'm showing too much of this. But, I grew up I grew up in a way that I was clothed. Like, like I wore like long skirts. And I remember the first time that I put on a skirt where I actually let my legs show. And I was really nervous, but I was like, actually, this feels really good. Right. And at some point, I think that I had to learn that my life is mine, right? My life and my experiences belong to me. And if anybody's going to give me joy and happiness, it's going to be me first.
Mhm.
So I had to disassociate, or like, I guess, take away that my joy was in the hands of someone else, or like my acceptance was in the hands of someone else, and put it in my own hands, like take it back, reclaim it, as we say, and allow myself to feel comfortable with whatever expression comes out of my body, whether, and I toil, right? Because we got neck bet is moot netty moot tef tef, right? So it's like I have that duality where at some points I'm in my masculine,
Moot,
Too.
moot. Mother of mothers. Tef,
right?
tef.
Um,
Father
Father
of
of
fathers.
fathers, right? So for me, I think that like as at some point in my life, I felt okay. I'm too in my masculine, but I mean my masculine serves, but I thrive in my feminine. And how do I make her happy, right? And so that looks like serving her in a way that she gets to express herself without worrying about, she just gets to be in her own um act of worship. So that's kind of how for myself, and I'm still unlearning because now that becomes like, what is the truth? What does that really look like, Like how far can I take that, or what's really comfortable for me? So it's all a learning act, but it's fun. It's no longer trust the process, it's now enjoy the process,
I'm
Yeah.
gonna write that one down. Enjoy the process.
Enjoy the process too.
True. Yes, absolutely. And go ahead.
What about
And
you,
it's
Haru?
too, it's the same. Like Moot Neckbat was saying, really had to unlearn that what I put on and what I wear is none of your business and should not affect you and what you have going on in your life. Because putting on certain things, people will look at you a certain way. Because they are not comfortable, and then it would make me feel uncomfortable because they're not uncomfortable. That they are uncomfortable. Learning that it is okay. And still learning, but it has to unlearn that it is okay for what I put on. Sometimes I will put on things and I'm okay and I'm cool and I'm comfortable. I will get like, you think you so conceited. And it's like I don't think that, not one bit. You know what I'm saying? But that's what they think because I can't help it if I like if my eyeliner fits me, I practice putting on my eyeliner, my clothes fit me right, my colors that's a gift to me. Like that's a self-expression on how I express myself. So how I express myself on what I put on and how it feels sensual on my body. But what if it's silk, putting on the silk and how we adorn our bodies shouldn't affect other people. So I really had to unlearn that, hey, that's your problem and not my problem. If you need some help, I can assist you with it. But really not shrinking yourself because other people may not be happy with what they have on or their body type. They might be upset because they can't wear it, you know, things of that nature. So yeah, they project their own things off onto you. So, and it takes a lot to be, confident. You get to a point where you're confident of, hey, this looks good. And then certain people will compliment you, and others will be like, hey, you just keep it moving. As long as you look good, you feel good, it feels good on your body, you smell good. Um, long as you're happy. So I had to learn. Long as I'm happy with what I'm wearing, long as I'm happy with this lipstick that go what I put on, long as I'm happy with this dress I put on, whether it's short. Some days it want to be short. Some days I want to put on a dress and it's long. I might want to have a split all the way up, whatever. But it's my mood. So let me express that. So yeah.
So what I hear too, right? And I'm thinking about because I said I was gonna ponder too on my own reflection, but what I hear is really like what makes you comfortable, right? And yet evolution. And I enjoy the process because I said I was gonna write that down, and putting on certain things, but really, like, letting your light dim because what you felt comfortable and confident in because you know how to read a room or your energy, you can feel other people's energy, you can feel their discomfort in themselves, what made you kinda hunch over, and I thought about, like, wow, when did I really realize that when did I connect with this sensuality? And I think it's like a ongoing thing. Muhadaru, you mentioned about like the ability to have clothes that fit well. Like knowing your body type,
Mhm.
but not just knowing, but feeling comfortable in your body type. Okay. And understanding what that means. I can remember, y'all, I went back in my mind and I saw myself. I had to be in middle school and I felt good. I'm outside because I like to be outside. I felt good. And my clothes fit me well. My mother wasn't the type where our clothes fit us well, appropriate length for our age, things of that nature, right? And I felt good and I felt confident. And all of a sudden, somebody noticed me. A guy noticed me and it scared me. And I was,
Mm,
oh my God. Like, oh, I can even go back younger, when my body was developing and others in my classroom we may not have been on the same developmental physically and mentally, you know,
right.
but it started to eat away at me and it
Mm.
started to make me like not find comfort. So then I started to have things that will kind of like dim my light. And so I had to find comfort in me first
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
myself as the altar and rebuild and reestablish what I found comfort and joy in as me.
Mhm.
And because y'all know it's a bunch of us over here, right? I am the mother of many. And my body changed after each birth, before each birth, after each birth. And it's continuous.
Mhm.
Y'all, 'cause that's the phase of life I'm in right now, right? It's changing. But just getting to know who you are as a person,
Mm.
that's what it sounds like. That's what I can see like a theme across like our comfort level in who we are as individuals to be able to unlearn and to unlearn some things to connect with the liberation, to then
Mhm.
find connection and comfortable connection with our sensuality.
Yes.
So,
Ooh,
Yep.
and I was thinking about that, and when you said that, your connection with yourself, I had wrote down your relationship with yourself. That's what it's really all about. Your
Yep.
relationship with yourself, being comfortable with yourself.
Yep.
You are with yourself 24/7.
Mhm. Yep, you are with yourself. There is something my mom I got a couple points. I'm gonna try to wrap them up. So my mother, when I was little, she used to always say, "You better like you, love you long enough to be with you."
ooh, say that
Right?
again. Like you, love you,
You
like
better like you, love you long enough to be with you. And
Right.
so when I'm thinking about liberation through sensuality, it it looks like, yes, spend the most time with yourself, and I be thinking, like, put that outfit on, like, how you hear the girls, like, "Put it on." If you go
Mhm.
into the grocery store, put it on. If you go into the library, put it on, it's just like, there's something about how you dress for you that makes you come out of your own your own shadows, and I think that the world in general keeps us in, like, this very, like, um, taupe taupe and like, gray area when it comes down to expression. And if you color outside the lines a little bit, it's like, oh,
Right.
you're a risk taker. And it's like, actually, I'm not a risk taker. I'm just expressing myself. And I think about how it's actually very hetero Oshun for someone to be intrigued and insulted at the same time by the
Yes.
vibrancy of your internal beauty. And so I had wrote down a liberated woman, and this is just because we're women, but anybody that is liberated ultimately will always intimidate the lack of liberation in someone else. So it's going to, when someone sees that you're liberated, it's not jealousy, it's not envy, it's literally that part of them that's waiting for them to come out themselves. And they're just like, I'm not going to do it, but whatever, and it's like, just free yourself. Like, free, what does it say? No bra zone. you know?
The En Vogue song came to my mind. Free your mind.
Ooh,
Is
and
the
the rest will follow.
I know.
Yes.
Da-na-na. That video was sexy, right?
okay,
So
I was on a whole nother wavelength about liberation and said, give us free.
give us free.
But then
Give us
uh,
us free.
free your mind, yes. And the rest will follow. Because
Yes.
that is the truth. That
Yeah.
grounds us.
Because she
In
was
all
talking about that,
areas.
having on high heel shoes in that song. Yeah. But like liberation itself is sensual. Liberation itself is erotic because it is you tapping into the pleasure of your own life, the pleasure of your frequency.
Ooh, pleasure of your frequency. And y'all, let's get us grounded in this truth. These don't have to be visual physical
Right.
connections to pleasure
Right.
or body connections. This could be a mental connection to pleasure. This can
Mm.
be um a spiritual connection to pleasure, a vision, like these things don't have to be a physical act, so to speak. A
Gotta
physical
find your kink.
act, you know.
Too.
When I was still going back, I'm about to make me a playlist, a sexual liberation playlist. And Vogue's gonna be on that. Shea Butter Baby's gonna be on that. Right. I'm writing them down as we go. That pops in my mind, but I want to go back to like the act of oiling our skin. Muhadaru, you talked about that earlier. And I really had to think about this, y'all. I'm gonna be totally transparent. Like there was a time where I would not oil myself, my full
Mm.
hey, for whatever reason, not sure why. I haven't figured that out. But I have found that there is in the act of putting it on and inhaling the oil, like I got
Yes.
mango scented oil
Mhm.
that when I put on my body, I'm like, oh, this smells so divine. Like I am
What?
smell so
Yes.
beautiful. I
Yes.
smell so
For yourself.
sacred for myself.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
my altar, because this is so I felt central in that moment.
Yep. And if you happen to like walk and you not and it's whew, sorry, because I do love to oil myself. I just do. Like there's something about just that, thinking about what it's doing to my skin or how I am saturating my like an essence into my body. You know what I mean? And then thinking about when you walk past a person and they smell you, right? Even or if they get close up on you and they're like, oh, you like it brings something into your natural pheromones. When you have the right oil, like your natural sensuality comes out. Yeah. Amplified.
So,
Yes, I
yeah.
remember I did do a month of wearing rose oil. After I took a shower, I would just rub on rose oil. And y'all know like rose is the most high vibratingest plant there is. Love, beauty. I mean, because the way that the rose just melt in your skin, and like you were saying, Moot Neck, that when you walk past people, it amplifies them and their sensuality too. So they like, you know,
Right. That that sound like ooh,
You're spreading joy.
you spreading joy, girl.
yes, 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 yes. But yes, in the breath, slow breathing, open up that portal to your divine feminine portal. The way that we touch our own skin, wearing clothes, silk, feeling for silk. I do follow this lady, older lady on TikTok. She's like 77, but she dressed in goddess clothes
Mm.
24/7. wraps herself. And even that puts you in the mindset of, I mean, every day being that goddess that you are, being that feminine goddess that you are. You know, sometimes I know we have our days where we just want to just put on slippers and, you know, bonnet, whatever, whatever. But really sometimes bringing into that frequency of loving myself because you are with yourself 24/7.
Are with yourself. You are in your body.
Yes,
Yes.
24/7.
24/7. Right. And thinking about that too, just even going back to that white clothing, when you wear a certain outfit, your posture changes. You
Yes.
know, like the way that you hold yourself changes. So if you know that you have spent some time like that, again, I'm gonna liken it to foreplay, right? When you've had foreplay with yourself and you've taken a nice shower and you've let your skin dry and you put your oil on, then you take your time putting on an outfit. It does something where you just like, it brings you out.
Mm-hmm.
It frees your mind.
It
Yeah.
frees your mind.
It does. And when I think about these two, right? I think about women in cultures that resonate with sensuality as liberation. Our triad will be in those names, right? In those books.
Me too.
Sensually liberated women. That's our
Mhm.
group, sensually liberated women. But we talk about like the archetypes where we see this and how we are really living our sensuality and who we are
Mhm,
as revolutionary beings. Revolutionary beings meaning that taking a strong approach to accepting ourselves
mhm.
and what brings us joy, what
Yeah.
pleasure, what brings us happiness. No, because I truly believe, and I told my kids this earlier, like when you have love in your heart for yourself, you are able to share and reflect it with others
Yes.
in a genuine way. Just Hetero, when you say you were spreading joy just by coating yourself or adorning yourself in that rose oil, right? They did someone else, right? That's the
Mhm.
domino effect or the pebble in the water, the ripple effect. But there are some women that in the archetypes of women, I'll name a few, but we're gonna connect we're gonna ground ourselves in two. But I think about women like Osset, Yemaya,
Mhm.
Pomba, Mary Magdalene, and that list could go on. But the two that I want us to like dig a little deeper in. Heteru Oshun, my mother, our mothers, right? And Bilquis, which is our inspiration. And Moot Nightbacks, you shared a great book with us
Mhm,
about the great cosmic mother.
mhm,
We put it in our list, y'all.
mhm,
And that talked about how patriarchal cultures saw our body and or how pre-patriarchal culture impacted
mhm,
us. We saw body and spirit as one. And goddess traditions, like all of what goddess traditions embody are our physical attributes, our fertility, the cycle of the moon and how regulated with our body and regulated with things. But then when that narrative started to shift and how the things that we talked about, we had to unlearn what that looked like and how that showed up in
mhm.
the archetypes
Yeah,
and what we had to do, you know?
Mhm.
too.
So let's just like ground us in that, right? Because we are never separate from our divinity.
True.
Never.
Our hair is divine.
Yes,
Our eyes are divine.
yes,
Our fingers, our words, our lips, our mouth, right?
yeah,
The tip of my pinky toe, the tip of
yes,
all our pinky toes are
yes,
divine.
yeah.
Mhm.
And we're never
My belly and back is the belly and back of the goddess. That's what makes me think about the Sekhmet prayer. Like, there is no part of me that is not.
I was even thinking about our names though and how our parents named some of our parents named us before we even came into out
Mhm.
of the womb and how it matches.
Yeah.
Like my
wow.
name is my mother named me Jasmine. So it's like it completely matches and it is mine and it's what is she gave me, you know. So that is divine. All of our names is divine. So
Yeah.
we are perfectly made, you
Perfect.
know.
Yeah.
Mhm. We are perfectly made,
and just exhale. Exactly. That's it. We are perfectly made. And when you realize that, you start to work with it.
mhm,
You start to work with your perfection, yours, not anybody
dang,
else's, not what somebody else is telling you is perfect. When you see how you're perfect, you work with your perfection.
mhm.
But Harit, yes, like The Great Cosmic Mother, it's a thick book. I got it so y'all can see, so you can see what I'm saying. I do, I got my little tabs because I'm still working through it, but it's a very big book. And I think that when we think about femininity as sacred as it is, like this book is like highlighting and pinpointing every aspect of how the sacred mother, sacred femininity, divine femininity just really is the antithesis of creation. Like think about Heteru Oshun, like literally like life force,
Mm,
like Heteru Oshun is erotic. She's erotic, she is life force itself. And so reading this book helps you to see, yes, like there's such a battle of that intimidation to the point that it wants to quell it and make it, like you were saying, like it becomes like an auxiliary sex where women's bodies are only seen to do two things:
mhm,
provide pleasure to someone else and to create. But you can't have pleasure for yourself. To have pleasure for yourself is demonized or shunned
mhm.
or um could possibly even cause death, in some cultures. So when we think about, like you talking about Bilquis, and this character is from American Gods, I think it's on Stars. If they got rid of it, which is an unfortunate because it was just starting to get to a climactic part. But when I first saw American Gods, and like, yes, they have like Odin and all these other, but Bilquis just stole my heart. I was like, yes, girl. Yes, I understand you, because I think that when I watch her scenes over the course of the show, it's not so much about sex for her.
Right.
To me, how I see it. To me, it's about her her desire to be seen and recognized and
Mhm.
adored for the energy and the essence that she is. And
Yes.
that is what gets her aroused. That is what takes her to that place, is the worship, right?
Mhm.
The recognition that she's beautiful and she's adorned herself. And you can even see from the beginning of the series, like how she looks in her time, her age, how she dressed. And at some point that started to diminish. She started to lose the luster in her skin and look a little bit more in the taupe and the and the grays, as I got gray on today, but don't we ain't gonna talk about that right now. um like she started to kind of blend into the backdrop, and seeing how, I don't know w- really where Oshun came in, if it was something that maybe Bilquis was inside of herself, like where am I? But just to see Oshun come in and like begin to help her to liberate herself because she got stuck, and find movement and dance and joy. Remember your body. So it's like, I feel like at some point, and this is at every stage, like you were saying, her time watch, she like just having children and watching your body. It doesn't matter how old you are. Women, we go through phases where we forget ourselves. And
Mhm.
there's a moment where that energy, Shun Hedaru comes in and is like, tap, tap. Why are you doing that?
Reclamation. That's the moment.
Right there.
Reclamation.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you work it.
Mhm. Mhm. And there is no limit. And when you were speaking, Mutnek, that about Heteru, and then it's like, and then Bill Quest as well, Haru showed her like there's no limit. There's no limit on not she's the river, abundance. It just flows. There's no limit on your sensuality or the way that they try to make it sing. Put us in a box, put us all in this little box and keep us there. It's bad. It's a taboo. It's shameful. No, and put it under the bed and get us out when they for their
In the
use.
box.
Yeah,
Plug it in when you need to.
plug it in when you need to.
Listen
But
to God.
I'm happy that we are now liberating ourselves, coming out, being free, loving ourselves, knowing that there is no limit on how you express yourself. That could really be some pent up anger and aggression if we decide to not be creative and express ourselves the way that we were put here to be creative and express ourselves.
Mhm.
Um, I like the way that you were talking about. When you were talking about Real Quest, it was reminded me of the death. She wanted people to see like
Mm.
all of the work and everything that she, put in. Acknowledge me for and it kind of made me go think about myself because people see straight surface level sometimes. And then it's like, I'm beautiful inside. I'm graceful. I'm loving. I'm soft. Like I know that you just see this, but can we go deeper into that to where we're having a wonderful, like, shoot, sensual conversation, you know,
I
Because a
love
river can be deep.
too, and those intuitive conversations, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mo Hetero as you talking. I was thinking to myself, in terms of thought, Bilquis was probably a Scorpio.
She probably was. You ain't lying.
He probably was a Scorpio.
She probably was a Scorpio.
oh,
Mhm. And and representing the depths of pleasure,
Yes. But
right?
ain't about that energy, Mo Hetero, because you said it as far as like, don't see me on my surface. See me for my depths, my
right.
like,
Right.
like get beneath the surface, dig a little deeper with
Yeah.
me, you know.
And then become
Or-
And we could really become one for eternity.
But if we look at that for ourselves and how we need to deeply understand ourselves and truly
Mhm,
accept ourselves,
mhm.
because self-acceptance is liberation.
Yep.
I want to ask, because I know we do our community share, right? But I want to ask, what are you doing now in your current space of where you are in your life
Mhm,
to connect with sensuality as liberation, or liberation as sensuality? And
mhm.
kind of going back with the cosmic mother, and I know our grounding, our affirmation was really my pleasure is prayer.
Yeah.
And how the cosmic mother,
Mhm,
it was talking about, and the authors reminded us that the womb, the woman's body, right? The dance, all our dance are all prayers.
mhm,
So, what are you doing? Use your sensuality as liberation.
mhm,
How are you embodying that at this moment in your life?
mhm.
I can share if we still deep thinking. Cause I was sitting up here, y'all know my mind has stories. And Mu had a rule. What you were saying is so true. Like mine right now is dance. Dance.
Mhm,
And I thought about the oil, but after I oil, I was like, oh, I feel like I want to dance. But I
mhm,
remember connecting to dance in a different way. Dance to me has become so like my space of prayer, where I can
mhm,
just think, zone out in any fluid movement and feel so liberated and so connected to joy that nobody has given me, but the joy
mhm. Yeah.
from within and connecting to my divinity and my source, right? That
mhm.
nobody handed to a gift to me, but it's dance. That's how I'm connected with my sensuality is liberation, and liberation is sensuality.
Mm,
Like I'm going to go back to putting on rose oil again. Like
mm.
that rose oil and just, yes, be a walking aromatherapy at its highest vibration.
Right, right, right. Who doesn't love some rose oil though? Rose, especially when you find a good one and it just like,
hmm
mm. I think for myself, I am really allowing myself the joy of pleasure. And I mean that in like every aspect of the word. So, like take it where you want to take it,
Right.
right?
Right.
Um, but starting with myself though,
Mhm.
always starting with me. So it's like that pleasure and how I take care of myself
Mhm.
and slowing down
Mm,
to be able to do that because man, autopilot has been on, right? and I had to turn it off and take the wheel and drive my vehicle myself because I just been like on cruise control. I'm like, nope, let me pull it back. But no, right now for myself, me practicing that reclamation is like me allowing myself the joy of pleasure.
Are one another's accountability. True. We gotta hold each other accountable for that
I'm
too.
gonna text you like, what'd you do for yourself today?
Well,
What was your daily joy?
what's our liberation emoji?
What's your liberation?
Yes. And allowing is such a big word too, moot neck bet. Like, sometimes I found myself at one point in my life not allowing myself to have fun because I had to stick to the straight business, stick to, hey, I got to do this. I'm not allowed to go do it. You know what I'm saying? And then when you do it, not feeling bad for it, not feeling bad for allowing yourself to open up and find pleasure in the things that you love.
That's a part of that unlearning.
Mhm,
It's like what because we said it earlier, removing the shame. Because you
mhm.
feel bad. You feel bad for for happiness. You feel bad to be happy. You feel bad about doing things that make you feel good. So it's challenging to be like you said, like, do I choose to be focused, but I'm focused all the time? Or do I choose just for one moment have a piece of chocolate, and that's like something small, or like go dancing, you know what I mean? Or whatever, buy the thing that makes me feel the most alive. So, too.
And then when you go dancing, when you get back to the work, you're better at it because
Yeah.
you had a chance to go liberate yourself and shake it up. You had to go. Ooh, all this reminded me of sinners when they were in the jukebox. I mean, they were dancing and
Ooh.
yes, and getting it. But yes, when
The
you
homegirl got her liberation. She's like, I'll take the mic.
yes, it freed her. Get that? She was a new woman. That's what we need. Walking through a whole nother portal. Like, okay.
Ooh.
Sidebar for like a because we said this is a series, right? Like even looking at because you mentioned sinners, right? Looking at Mary and Annie and those three women as subsections of their own liberation. Because
Ooh.
they all kind of got liberated in a way,
Yeah.
right?
I'm right down a dot for center.
Just y'all hold it in the back of y'all mind to remind us what you was gonna say about Mary and Annie.
Yes, because they did get
They
liberated.
got liberated. They did.
Yes. Exactly what they wanted.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
It frees you.
it
Okay, go ahead.
really no, Move had a root. I really I love hearing all of us, you know what I mean? Because it is so in alignment. And this is really like reclaiming our divinity, our holiness, right? Like is the reclaiming our divinity, right?
Your sensuality is included in
Yes.
that for sure.
Like, so when I send this emoji, I think I do it like this gonna be liberation, like for our sensual liberation. Okay. Maybe it's gonna
So,
be it and the
With
honey
a peach,
pie.
right?
It's on-
Oh, ooh.
but I ain't
Wait a
gonna tell
minute.
you. Later on, I'm gonna tell y'all what my mama was do this. When she did that, I will tell y'all.
Okay, tell us. So we know that our conversations are good and we know that our time together is always so divinely aligned, right? And so today every show, every episode, we always do a community share and ritual. So we're going to pull a card for the collective today. So whether you're listening when it drops or you're listening weeks from now, months from now, this message is meant or these messages, this information is going to reach us when it's supposed to, and it is meant to reach us right where we are and when we need it.
Ooh. And the card that we pulled for today in this season is Oshun of Divine Wrath, Anger, Resentment, and Vigilance. Whew.
Ooh, look at her face,
Look at
Lord.
that.
Yes. But you
Wow.
can see that fire and that passion that she has. And at the top, if you could look, that fire is breaking chains,
Yes.
liberating herself. So it's like this could be maybe some pent up anger, some pent up, maybe some aggression, maybe some things you might be feeling for not being liberated, not feeling like you are able to free yourself. So in this season, just make sure that you are freeing yourself, liberating yourself, getting down to the root of your anger. Why am I angry? Why am I upset? and just truly letting those feelings unlock and unload throughout whatever storm you are going through. And as I'm thinking about this card though, we've said so many things throughout this whole podcast on things of how you can free yourself and liberate yourself in a positive way so that it doesn't come out like fiery and so unleash yourself in some very, very productive ways. This is a 5 card. This is definitely a Hetero's number, a card of change. How do you want things to change in your life? I know that sometimes I'm feeling like it's a lot of like pent up anger. Maybe a lot of not like I was saying earlier, not freeing yourself, but you have to move it. Maybe it's some things that you want to direct towards a person. Just really like find a way to do it. In the most positive way ever. But first, liberate yourself in some whether it's dance, whether it's taking a bath, whether it's putting on some oils, putting on some great clothing, doing some real connecting to your breathing techniques, that divine breathing, open up portal that way. And just liberate yourself and speak and just breathe through it. Breathe through it. And continue to break those chains and those cycles. Continue to break those chains and those cycles. Yeah. She with it though.
I
I'm
agree.
with you. Thank you, Muheteru, for that.
Child. And then we always have a comedic word or a phrase every single podcast that goes along with our liberation and our freedom today.
Ooh, and that phrase, it is, I am sacred love. Jasir Mer Anuk. I am sacred love. Jasir Mer Anuk. I am sacred love.
Jasir
Jasir
Mer
Mer
Anuk.
Anuk.
I'm gonna have to write that one down too. You did too, Muheteru.
I felt that in my sacral chakra. Felt that. Felt that.
In the Pratyam Shah.
I'm Shaw.
For sure.
The herb that resonates with today, we talk about women, reclamation, and our womb, Katiyam Shah, as being healthy. So the herb today, we'll hear some people pronounce it differently. Dong Ki, Dong Quai, spelled DONG QUAI. This is a herb meant to tone our uterus. And we may be in different phases of our lives as women, and our uterus needs some toning in different ways, right? It may need to build up the blood. We may need to soothe and do some reclamation and healing in that space. This herb is based on our root chakra. It's connected to the root. It is a root as well. It is a bitter, it is warm, and it is meant to embrace us. It helps to release tension from our womb. It can be ground, it could be ingested. Sometimes it may be in a tincture. You may use it as a tea. And if you want to use it just as a placement, right? Sometimes we use herbs for their other properties too. And during meditation, you want to place that there. But it is associated with the female system, our female womb system. So if our womb may be feeling like Oshun's wrath or Oshun Heteru's fury, get us some of this herb in our life.
Ooh, that is so beautiful. Wow.
That is beautiful.
Also help
Getting down.
yeah.
Too. Your voices matter to us. Send us your thoughts, your questions, and your magic. Connect with us on all social media platforms. Witch Hour. Until we commute again, Shememotep.
Remember